What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Courtside Soundoff podcast. Once again, I'm Josh Evanoff. As always, welcome by the one and only man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, future Jiu-Jitsu world champion, Angel Ortega. It is a packed week, ladies and gentlemen. UFC 289 to go over, UFC Vegas 75 going down this weekend, Bellator 297, their best card in a long time, as well as a bunch of MMA and boxing news to go over. As always, you're brought to you by two fantastic sponsors of the show, Rogue Energy and ELYXR. Rogue Energy keep me fueled up, keep me going throughout my day, whether I'm at the gym, at home, working, or even just chillaxing, playing some video games, man. They keep me fueled up, they keep me motivated, and they can do the same for you with code SOUNDOFF at checkout for 10% off. Again, that is code SOUNDOFF at checkout for 10% off. However, another sponsor of the show, ELYXR.com, the exact opposite. They're going to get you really high with their Delta 8, 9, 10 HHC products, and you can get them for code SOUNDOFF for 10% off. They keep, you know how I celebrated my birthday, Angel? You know what? I did not go out drinking like a lot of people would, you know? I stayed home, got high with some code ELYXR. It was pretty fun, man, you know? And you guys should too. So, light up with code ELYXR.
Well, yeah, I forgot it was your birthday this past week. I mean, I obviously congratulated you, so it's not
so you didn't forget that much, but you know, and that's how I celebrated. And you guys should also light up at home with code SOUNDOFF for ELYXR. So there you go. Nonetheless, man, UFC 289 going down last Saturday night from the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. In the main event, Amanda Nunes, the Lioness, you know, essentially doing what we kind of expected, dominating Irene Aldana. Unanimous decision win 50-44, 50-44, 50-43. You know, Aldana actually had a relatively nice first round. She caught Nunes near the end. But then she just couldn't get out of first gear, man. She couldn't get anything going in the end. Amanda Nunes wins by a decision, but also she retires post-fight. What do you think about this news, man? What do you think about Nunes deciding to go ahead and hang it up? Obviously, they're going to have to be a new champion crowned at women's bantamweight. And the four women that are at women's featherweight are likely very afraid for their jobs right now.
Yeah, well, let's start making 135, right?
Yeah, I don't think Norma Dumont can make 135.
I think she could, Josh. But
I think you'd be surprised.
I think you'd be surprised, Josh. I think we could. But regardless, we got to break this one down a little bit. I think we should start off with Irene's performance in of itself, man, because she had a lot of pressure coming into this fight. You know, we talked about it on the last show. It was actually something that I kind of brought up and touched up on mainly because I've been watching a lot of Spanish media, Spanish sports media, and kind of a lot of you know, you're seeing a lot of Brandon, a lot of Yair, a lot of ELYXR, and obviously with the Irene and Amanda fight upon us, there was a lot of tension around her as well. Kind of like, is she gonna be the fourth you know, warrior, you know, to join him? That was the whole big thing. And kind of not to like a lot of people's surprise and or to you, Josh, as well. Kind of what we expected. I will say it was a bit disappointing because for Irene, man, I think you really expected her to really go out there and put it all out on the line. And it didn't seem like she was just, obviously because of Amanda and kind of her ability, she was put on the back foot. But you almost wish she took some more risk earlier on, because when she did land, I'm not going to lie, I think she might have had like the two best punches and kicks of the whole fight. Granted, those didn't amount to anything because she lost rounds, but I felt like she connected the best throughout the fight, even though she did wear all the damage mainly in the fight. Mm-hmm. The shots she did land seemed to be pretty effective. Just that the risk didn't happen early on and didn't come in later in the fight at that point, which Amanda was able to just control and take over and win. I don't know if there's a lot more that you want to add to that, but to kind of get into the retirement itself, and I'll let it bounce back here in a minute.
Yeah, sorry. I was just real quickly on the fight itself. I agree with everything you said. I think the only thing that I can really add is that I think Irene Aldana is going to exit this fight really kicking herself, man. I'm not going to say that she would have won the fight. She would have been more accurate, or if she would have been more willing to go for it. She'd get busted up already. But I don't know, man. I feel like you're right. She had literally the biggest moment of the fight, I feel like, in that first round. And she had the power, and she proved that she could take those big shots. She just, you know, damn, she just she was not able to get anything going. I feel like she's going to be kicking herself. But yeah, please go ahead and give your thoughts on Amanda Nunes' retirement.
Now, as far as her retirement, I mean, she leaves on top of the sport. She leaves with money. She leaves with arguably probably at least somewhat decent health. Granted, though, whenever you're competing in combat sports, do you ever leave with great health, you know? And with a growing family. I mean, it was just a wholesome moment. Double champ with both belts, and I think she said something along the lines after in the presser that, you know, no matter who becomes champ after this, it will never be the real champ or be able to like catch up to my accolades. And the person after that won't either. And the person after that won't either as well. You know, she cemented a almost untouchable legacy, it feels like, and she beat the who's who in the sport, and she leaves no questions unanswered.
Yeah, I think you put it really well there. I mean, she said that whoever wins after her is going to be a fake champion forever, and, you know, I don't think that's a great way to put it, but I think that, yeah, she was so far ahead of her contemporaries. I mean, I don't think there's any, I mean, she's been the GOAT for a while, but I think it's going to take a very long time for somebody to surpass Amanda Nunes. I mean, she's beaten basically every single relevant woman to also fight in MMA. I mean, you can run down the list. I mean, Juliana Pena. I mean, granted, she lost to Pena first time, but then, I mean, if you're going to avenge a loss, a 50-43 win is about as good of a way you can do it. You know, Megan Anderson, Jermaine Durandamy, Holly Holm, Chris Cyborg, Shevchenko, Ronda Rousey, Misha Tate. You know, just so many wins. I mean, she's been, you know, it's easy to forget, but she's been around as far back as the Strikeforce days, man, whenever she was knocking out people like Julia Budd. So Amanda Nunes is a veteran of the game. She's been fighting for 15 years now, and her calling it quits, man, I mean, she's calling it quits at a good time, too. Going out on top, not too many people can say that. But I do want to go ahead and note real quickly, or not really note, but just discuss real quickly. So Juliana Pena was in attendance at UFC 289. And she, you know, she shouted and made a big scene during Amanda Nunes' retirement, which got her a lot of hate on social media. But nonetheless, I mean, she was there. Juliana Pena was in attendance at the event. It seems likely that she'll probably fight for the vacant title next. Angel, I'll pitch it to you. Who do you want to see Juliana Pena fight for the vacant 135 pounds?
I'll give it to the only person who's deserving of it in the division, man, and Raquel Pennington. She's silently kind of for a while there, we talked about it. She's building this little win streak, and it's going. And I mean, Marion Renault, Penny Kinzad, Maisie Chason, who was Irene's last win, Aspen Ladd, and Kayla Vera. She's got a nice little group of women in there. She was potentially maybe looking forward to add Irene Aldana to that, but was prevented that because Irene got the call up to the title shot. I don't know, man. It seems like a pretty reasonable one to me. One that's extremely deserving. You know, we're always talking about fighters being on win streaks and not getting shots, and you know, I think we should continue to support that idea, and not that idea, but the idea of giving people who are on win streaks shots at titles. Sorry, kind of misworded it there a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that you went ahead and you laid it out there pretty well. I think Raquel Pennington should be getting the next title shot. But I don't know, man. I think the UFC is going to do something creative. I think the UFC is very well aware that nobody cares about the women's bantamweight division. And they're going to cut the women's featherweight division. That one's gone. I mean, we make jokes about it, but I mean, let's be honest, Angel. I mean, let's just be real for a minute here. It's not going to.
What do you mean, John? 145 never die. WEC never die. Pride never die.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right, dude. You laid it out there. The most iconic things in MMA. You know, fucking Pride never died. WEC. Women's 145 never die, though.
Right.
I think that, yeah, that one's definitely done. But, I mean, jokes aside, I think 135, I think the UFC knows that they need like a shot in the arm to that division. Because even with Amanda as champion, nobody cared. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think they're going to get creative. Whether that means, you know, maybe Erin Blanchfield coming on up, baby. I mean, hey, look. Cold-blooded, you guys know that I go hard for cold-blooded. You know what I mean? I've been pumping the brakes on on everybody else in the women's bantamweight, not bantamweight, flyweight division for a while. Like, nobody matters but Erin Blanchfield. I mean, but I think if she decides to move up, which there was a rumor earlier this week that potentially she's looking at moving up and potentially becoming the youngest women's champion ever. Angel, are you down to see history? Because I am.
You know, I think it's a cool thing, but I feel like we're robbing people who are at the weight class, who have been working there, who have fought the fighters there, of an important moment. You know what I mean? I feel like Erin could still do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that division's open right now, man. With Amanda being gone now. I will say though, for the UFC, man, I really hope they capitalize on this because there'll be a lot of money off their books, right? They're not thinking about offering a fight to Amanda or and who knows what kind of money Amanda was getting by the end of her career, but I'm sure it was pretty good, especially for how long she was champ. And I feel like she probably had a pretty decent relationship with the UFC. I feel like they should really invest into getting more girls into this weight class and kind of developing it, you know? Like just pouring young girls into it, matching them against each other, and then just building, you know, just dogs, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, let me be clear. You are correct. Because as much as I am somebody who complains a lot about fighters not getting title shots, and I am saying that Erin Blanchfield should be able to come up from 125, which makes me a complete hypocrite. And I don't care. I'm joking. Yeah, I actually do agree, Angel. Here's what I think they should do, right? Because I said Juliana Pena will probably get the title shot next. I don't think she deserved the immediate rematch against Nunes to begin with. And then she pulled out. I know that's what the direction the UFC is going to go in, which is why they had her in attendance at the fights, like front row to begin with, because they wanted to tease a trilogy. But Angel, if we're being completely honest, I don't care if Juliana Pena gets the next title shot. I think Raquel Pennington needs to be in there. But I would not mind Erin Blanchfield coming up. Erin Blanchfield versus Raquel Pennington for the vacant title. I know it won't sell a whole lot, but I don't think Juliana Pena really deserves it. So it's like
it'd be a third featured fight on a pay-per-view, which no matter what would be sick. Another one I also heard out there that was getting thrown around was Holly Holm.
Yeah, but Holly is booked though. That's very important to know.
True.
Holly is booked,
but she's fighting next month though, and we don't know. She could come out and get an early finish. So it's not that far away. We're literally a week away, or not away, 30 days away from that.
I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC, God forbid, if something happens to any fight that's coming up, I wouldn't be surprised if they just take Maya Bruno Silva and Holly Holm and have them fight for the vacant belt.
Jesus, could you imagine?
I can, yeah. I could actually imagine. Totally, 100%.
I
don't think it would make sense, but Holly Holm probably wins that fight.
Well, by the way, I will say the top 5 of this division isn't bad. It's kind of, once you look past 5, it's kind of rough. But it's Irene Aldana, Kayla Vera, Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena. That's a strong 5, with Amanda gone. They talk about women's bantamweight. Josh, do you know who number 6 is by any chance? But just a shot in the dark. It's someone you know.
Is it Macy Chason or something? Macy, is it? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Macy. Is it Macy?
Okay, you're not that far off. Macy's number 8. Gianna's number 6. Gianna Santos.
Okay.
After that, it's Panic
that shows how bad the division is.
Macy
for sure.
Chason, Cara Rosa, and Myra Buenos Silva's number 10. We got Misha Tate number 11. And some interesting people like Norma Dumont at 13.
Man, Gianna Santos hasn't won a fight in 2.5 years, and she's number 6. Jesus Christ.
That's my whole point here, man. That's the number 6. Once you look past 5, it's very rough. Is there some potential people who could do some stuff? Yes, without a doubt. I think Chelsea Chandler's an interesting gal. Josie Nunes at number 14. Norma Dumont, who we also mentioned throughout the podcast. Misha Tate, if she decides to maybe make a return to 130.
Well, Misha Tate was originally supposed to face Myra Bruno Silva, and then Holly Holm stepped in. So yeah, she's fine. She's back in 135, but
yeah. So definitely some interesting stuff there. A potential Juliana Pena Misha Tate match. Former tough coach versus former tough competitor or teammate or whatever you want to call him. Student. There's something interesting there.
Let's be honest. I think that the UFC knows that they don't really have too many potential
stars. By the way, are you excited for an Ultimate Fighter season of Juliana Pena and Raquel Pennington?
Angel, I'm not even joking. If there's an Ultimate Fighter season of Juliana Pena versus Raquel Pennington, and you ask me what would you rather do than watch that season, it'd be like paint dry, fight Francis Ngannou, go get my donate blood, Like, I would rather go get in a fucking car crash than watch 12 episodes. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm a diehard fan. I'd watch it.
I mean, I would too, but I don't think you could get two less people. I mean, like, if you're talking about relevant fighters and contenders, I don't think you get two less people. And I'm not even being mean either, because I like Juliana Pena. Like, I think she's entertaining, because I think it's funny how much people hate her. And Raquel Pennington, I respect a lot. I respect the shit out of Raquel Pennington. But I don't think either one of them on Tough is interesting. I mean, dude, it's crazy to me that, like, this division, I can't believe, that's probably the fight they're gonna make. I mean, they could throw in Aaron Blanchfield, and I would not be surprised, but it looks like Pena versus Raquel Pennington is going to be next for the title. And that is,
like I said, I really do hope they pour into 135, because I think 135 is, out of the three, let's be honest, three female divisions, it's the one lacking the most in talent. I feel like the other two are in a pretty comfortable spot. And ELYXR Grasso winning, like, her fight against Valentina has really opened up a lot of people's eyes and hope. I've always thought, though, if they're, you know, I always thought Amanda and Valentina had a good gap between everybody else in the division. I never thought Rose or Sparz or even Whaley have, like, a crazy gap between everybody else. But for me, I felt like for Valentina, I really thought it was going to be just her forever. It was kind of nice to see Aggressor come in and Grasso come in and make a kind of a statement and be like, okay, it's getting tighter at the top. And especially with Talia Sanos, who kind of did that for us already. I hope we have a similar kind of era and look for 135 as well. But, or I guess now that Amanda's gone, I was kind of hoping that would eventually happen. But I feel like now what they really need to do is really stack the talent pool, like I said earlier in the pod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you put it pretty well there. I think that they need to badly get some new talent. And hopefully they do. I mean, women's flyweight got improved. I mean, that division was terrible because it just started back in like 2019, but it's been decent. It did not take long for that division to turn around. I hope women's bantamweight could do the same. But we've been stuck in a holding pattern for like 2 or 3 years now of like just this division just not moving at all. So hopefully whatever happens with this division, hopefully we get an active champion. Contenders start fighting more. Maybe they sign a couple more people, but you know, Angel, it's about time to move on to the co-main event, which was the people's main event. Because Angel, the champion, has a name. And he is illuminated by God. Charles Dubronx Oliveira is back, baby.
Josh, you have been Dubronxed.
You have been Dubronx. Yeah. Dude, and he gets a first round knockout win over Beneil Dariush. You know, look, man, this fight was there was a couple of interesting early exchanges, and then Oliveira just ended out of nowhere on the ground, man. I mean, what do you think about his big win?
He does what he does, man, what he's been doing. Maybe it looks a little sketchy and it looks a little rough, but you know what the ending's always going to be, and it's always going to be an Oliveira finish, man. Submission or KO or TKO. He fucking did it again, man. I gotta be honest, man. I thought it was gonna be a tough fight, and it was tough. It was still tough. For the 1 round it lasted, it was very tough. But fuck, dude, I thought it was Beneil time. I thought it was Benny time, man. I thought this confidence he had, and he had no worry on the feet, and if the fight went to the ground, he was perfectly comfortable with those exchanges. And fucking Friday comes around, Josh, and they both look like shit on the scale. Granted, they're cutting weights, they're gonna look like shit, but Beneil especially looked like shit. And I don't know if it played a factor or not, because Beneil did look pretty good early on. But Charles Oliveira with that fucking head kick, man, at the start of the round, and the kick that led to the finishing sequence at the end of the round, fucking beautiful, man. Excited to see it. Josh, I think the question though is Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev the fight to make now?
Angel, come on, brother. Come on, man. Come on. You just been Dubronx, man. You know what it is. I think that Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev is the fight to make. But I also know that if Volkanovski gets a big win in a month from now, I'll feel different. I'm not joking. I feel like it's actually too early to tell. I think that you have this fight, and then you have Volkanovski's fight next month, and you also have Poirier versus Gaethje 2 happening next month.
I just don't think either one of those guys deserve it, though.
I don't either, but I think it would depend on how the fight would go and just how. Because, like I said, I think there's too many unknowns. You know, I personally, I think Oliveira is the fight to make, and I think that.
Especially since you can make it to Abu Dhabi again. He think about how poetic that'd be.
Exactly.
Oliveira got a bounce back win over Beneil Dariush, the guy who was on this massive win streak, the guy who was going to be prevented from being successful and beat all these guys to fucking make it to the title, right? And then fucking Charles comes out here and avenges his last loss, but kind of bounces back, I guess is the proper way to put it. And then he calls out the fucking champ. He's coming off a tough fight, you know, kind of maybe questionable decision, but he's still holding the title down. And they do it back in Abu Dhabi, and Charles Oliveira is able to recapture the title. That'd be pretty poetic, man, if they could do that.
Yeah, and that's partially why I think it is one of those. I think it's my personal favorite option. I think it'd be very poetic, and I also think that I've been very clear on the idea that I did not think that Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira 1 was going to be competitive. If you guys remember the lead up to that fight on the podcast, I was like, that fight's not even going to be close. And then it wasn't close, but it's funny because obviously the win over Benny, and then obviously seeing the amount of success that Volkanovski had, and obviously two different fighters, two different types of, you know,
styles and builds.
Yeah, exactly. Styles that make fights and so on and so forth. But I don't know, man. I think that, I am kind of a believer in that idea that maybe Oliveira just did have a bad night, and, you know, I'd be interested to see how things go again. So yeah, I mean, let's book it. I think Volkanovski, for one, I don't think Volkanovski will be able to make the turnaround. I got a feeling that Yair Rodriguez fight. I got a weird feeling about that one. I feel like that's going to be like an all-time banger. Like, I think
you're right.
He's going to need some time. You don't fight Yair Rodriguez and then turn around in like 3 months. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Right. That's okay though, because we'll take that fight at the start of next year. You know, in fucking Auckland, New Zealand, or in Australia, or one of the two places wherever the fuck they would want to do it.
Yeah, of course. And then also Volkanovski already mentioned, like, he's like, hey, you know, if Islam is you know, busy, then I'll go ahead and I got no problem fighting for the BMF title.
Shit. And anyways, Josh, it's not like the fucking UFC isn't trying to get fucking Pereira to become 205 champ so Easy could rematch him.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just saying, to add on to like a card with Volk, you're telling me a fucking Volk 155 title rematch and Izzy 205 dual weight champ against Alex Pereira rematch again?
We are still so far away from that, dude.
Dude, you don't think the UFC is thinking this far ahead, man?
No, I know that they probably are.
I know these fuckers are thinking that far ahead, Josh. I'm just saying it. You know, if everything goes as planned or if everything works out as it does, you know, I'm just saying, potential exciting card. I'm just theory crafting out here, man. I'm trying to get us excited. I try to make us DTF, Josh, down to fight.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. We are down to fight. I mean, look, dude, I think that makes sense. It's just a matter of it can happen. But yeah, to kind of close it out, and actually one last thing I do want to go ahead and mention. Because I made, like, the day of UFC 287, or the day before, I put up a meme on our TikTok. You know, like POV, Charles Oliveira gets a knockout win at 11:07. I put that in the first round or whatever. I did not expect that whatsoever. Let me be clear. I'm not a fucking time traveler. I'm just because I got a couple of comments back on the post that were like, holy shit. And it's just like, yeah, dude, holy shit. I didn't expect it to be right either, you know?
Like, you're telling me.
You're telling me, dude. I mean, I picked Oliveira to win, but he knocked him out at like 11:06, dog. Like, it's just. But, you know, we almost, you know, had a really cool moment there. But regardless, yeah, I mean, excited for Oliveira and what happens next. But speaking of big wins, dude, I mean, Mike Malone is a real fucking deal. Did not take him long to go out there and go get a second round submission win over Adam Fujit. Actually, to be clear, Mike Malone rocked him, and then he rocked him, he dropped him, and then he subbed him, which, you know, if he would have just stopped him at the rock and dropped him and then just kept on with the punches, I'd have more money in my bank account this morning. Alas, he did not. So, Angel, what do you think of Mike Malone getting a submission win on Saturday?
Like I said, man, from the moment we kind of saw this guy come in, it was just like, damn, okay, we need to keep an eye here. I look, and obviously I don't know yet where he casts off at, because he's beating these people who, you know, they're not top 15, they're not, top 10. They're not even just barely outside of the 15. But he's taking care of them in the fashion of a guy who would be potentially in the rankings, right? I just want to continue to see these kids grow. Welterweight has a lot of killers, a lot of guys who aren't in the rankings, like himself, Malott, and other guys like, for example, like I was just looking at it, but like Renat Frakhninov, who I just saw right here, Michael Morales, Gabriel Bonfim, just to name off a few, and even guys like Jeremiah Wells is another one. Nicholas Dalby and Muslim Zolikov, who are not ranked fighters but are fighting this weekend, also guys who are killers, So he definitely has a ways to go. But don't be surprised if this guy is fighting in a ranked fight soon, or another pay-per-view main event, or they give him another main card look as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Mike Lamont's a real deal. I mean, we got a couple of guys coming up right now in that weight class that look like they could potentially be, maybe not future champions, but at the very least future contenders and so on and so forth.
There's so many
of those guys. Yeah,
there's
multiple. Who do we got? I mean, we got obviously Mike Malott. We got fucking Ian Gary. Who else? Christian Leroy Duncan. He's at 170, right?
Yeah, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. Who else? There's obviously the big one that I can't think of, blanking on his name right now.
Oh no, Chris Leroy. 185er. My bad.
185. Never mind then. There's somebody who I'm blanking on right now. Monster. I can't think of his name.
There's so many, dude. I mean, like if we're talking unranked, by the way.
Yeah.
You can name off E. Gary who is ranked, but unranked, there's a few, and we're not even talking about like competitive fighters at 170, like Max Payne Griffin and Chaos Williams, Alex Morono types, like guys who are also dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways, man. I mean, I think, Michael lost the real deal. Excited to see what he does next. Next up on the main card, though, dude, we gotta go in. Nate the Train was on the main card. Nate the Train was at the press conference, baby. Nate the Train was at the weigh-ins. Nate the Train exited with a loss. Unanimous decision to Dan Ige on Saturday. 29-28, 29-28, 30-27. Kind of the way that we thought this fight would play out. If Nate Landwehr could not make it his fight, which he was unable to, we kind of figured it would go down this way. What did you think about Danny Ige picking up the win?
Look, even knowing Nate the Train lost, and look, I had thought from the moment this matchup made, I was Danny Ige all the way. Just because I was like, I think Nate Landwehr's good, but I just don't know. Once he gets to those big fights, I just feel like what he does is not going to be as effective at the top. But I will give him credit, Josh. I thought he did very well. And I'm like, something? I could actually see Nate Landwehr again in this position, on the main card fighting a ranked fighter or on the early or whatever it is, but another opportunity to rank guy because I don't know. I thought he did still pretty well. Obviously didn't get the W. Still got beat up, but hey, that's how it is. I just think don't be surprised if we see him back against him. He actually surprised me. I think I could potentially maybe in the future see him as maybe a lingering guy on the lower half of the rankings.
No, I actually agree. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, in regards to Danny Ige picking up the win, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on this fight. He's a guy that stays trucking, second win in a row for Nate Landwehr. He'll be back. I mean,
he's holding down his spot, man. He has got like a very secure spot right now.
He's found his groove in the company, for sure. Like he's got that action fighter position right now in that weight class. And I mean, obviously, a lot of guys would prefer to be champion, but there's worse places to be. You know what I mean?
And it's sad because the people he's lost are guys who were above him. Like Mozart, Ivalov, Josh Emmett, Korean Zombie, and Calvin Cater. I mean, fuck, man, that's proper ranking. Like at least the rankings are accurate to the results of the fighters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, actually, one quick thing I want to go ahead and know before we go ahead and move on. And not really know, but I guess one quick thing I want to go ahead and throw out there, dude. Nate Landwehr, first loss in about 2.5 years. Obviously, 35 years old. I want to ask you this question: does Nate, gun to your head, and you got to remember there's a competitive fight on Saturday. Dan Ige's ranked. He's been as high as like top 5. You know what I mean? Angel, do you think Nate Landwehr will ever break into the UFC top 10?
Like in the featherweight?
Yeah, I want you to look into your crystal ball in the future. Do you think Nate the Train will ever have
I think
that
he could
type
be.
of run?
I think he'd be outside of the 10. I think he'd be like 11 through 15.
You know what, Angel? I disagree. I actually got a weird feeling about Nate Landwehr, dude. I got a weird feeling he's gonna stay around and like get higher success than we think. Just because
Really?
I feel like coming out of this fight, like he lost, but I didn't come out of this feeling like he got. Like I thought if he couldn't get his game plan going, he'd lose a lot worse than he did. Does that make sense?
Look, that was his performance against what is Danny Ige right now? The number 13th guy.
Yeah. But I also think that Danny Ige is just kind of I think Danny Ige is better than number 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
He's only lost to the top tier.
No, you're not wrong for sure. But no, I could see, like I said, I no matter what, I wouldn't be surprised if I ever saw a number in front of Nate Landwehr's name went in the UFC rankings. I think that's the best blanket statement I can say. But like I said, even if it is just near the bottom, how I think it probably will be, impressive nevertheless.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing wrong with it, but yeah, man. Shout out Nate Landwehr. Shout out Danny Ige. Solid fight on Saturday. This one opening up the main card. No, I have nothing to say about this. Marc-Andre Barriault defeated Eric Anders by unanimous decision. Basically went the way we went, the way we expected. Gun to my head, if I regret not putting saying this one was going to go the distance because this one seemed like on paper it's like totally going to go the distance.
Well, it looked like it could and couldn't at the same time. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I just always, in my head, if I were to think of like two guys that consistently go to decision, it'd be Marc-Andre Barriault and Eric Anders, but I don't know.
Josh, I can think of another guy.
Yeah.
Bilal, remember decision, Muhammad.
No. Yeah, fair enough. I can't argue. I like him, but I can't even argue against it.
Can't even argue against it, can you?
Anyways, man, in terms of...
and I got one more for you, Josh.
Oh, who?
Greetings, Nerd and Virgins. Colby Covington Incorporated here.
Oh, yeah, dude. Colby the... I feel like Colby Covington never learned, the point of fighting is to put your opponents to sleep, not the fans, you know what I mean? I think Colby Covington, honestly, I props to Colby, dude. He broke the stereotype. He broke the stereotype that, boring fighters can't have a fan base.
But,
you just
by
gotta
the way,
be really fucking racist. Not that.
Do you know what Colby graduated college with? What his degrees in?
Can I guess?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna guess either political science or finance.
Dude, sociology.
Word. Interesting. Okay.
Kind of makes you wonder, right?
I totally expected Colby to be one of those, political science majors,
Yeah.
Just one of those. You know the nerdy white guys that are really into politics,
But I found out recently.
I actually don't know. Yeah, I guess good for Colby, I guess.
I wonder what John graduated with.
I mean, I was gonna say a felony, but
Jesus, John.
But I mean, him and Colby they're on the same page with that one. He got.
It's like Colby's on the opposite end.
No. Colby got like a DUI in college.
Oh,
or after college, he had his blood alcohol shit was like 6 times the legal limit or something crazy.
Jesus.
Colby was bowling back in the day apparently. So, yeah, but he's a thug, so I don't associate with thug. It is really. I mean. I'm not gonna get into Colby Covington too much more, but yeah, I mean it is pretty funny. But anyways, man, I mean the rest of the card, I mean, what is there to really say? I mean, Nasruddin Imavov, Chris Curtis, that looked like a banger on paper. Ends up being a no contest. That one's unfortunate to see.
Devastating, Josh. Devastating.
Absolutely devastating. And by the way, Chris Curtis has been uploading pictures to social media. His eye's still fucked up, 3 or 4 days later. So.
People were calling him a bitch and all this and that. Why'd you tell that you were good now when you really weren't? Or why did you say you weren't good to go yet and lied or whatever? They were saying why he didn't lie.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is I'll never doubt anybody that gets in the cage. It's just a general rule, right? There are certain things that there are jobs that people will be oh, you can't criticize them, and you totally can. You know, like, I don't have to be a 5-star chef to tell you that a meal can suck, okay? But when it comes to cage fighting, it's a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to judge Chris Curtis for not continuing to fight a fucking monster like Nasruddin Imavov with one eye. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in there with Chris, so I'm not in Chris's shoes right now. So
he just wanted time too, man. That was the other thing. It's not like he was trying to like not fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Fans always say that, like, this guy's scared, that guy's scared. Well, and then we had it too, and then I saw Miranda Maverick put up some posts about how people were sending her death threats after after being upset by Jasmine Jasavicius. I'm like, dude, like, MMA fans are some of the worst people on the planet. Like, like, oh my god, dude. Like, speaking of Miranda Maverick, what'd you think about her loss, obviously?
I was surprised. I was very surprised. I was very confident on her. I thought she was one of the locks of the week if you wanted to maybe put a bet on someone. Ended up getting upset, man. I just didn't expect Jasmine to look the way she did. I mean, granted, I remember when she put on the Contender Series, I was like, oh, okay. She looks like she has some potential. You know, she could maybe potentially have an interesting future. And then she came in, got a win, got a loss, got a win, and I was like, all right. And then finally she kind of got I would like to say kind of a signature win or kind of a notable win in Miranda Maverick, someone who has a little bit of a name power, maybe not a lot necessarily, but some name value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I will advise, obviously, she's still only 25 years young. She's still going to be around in this for a long time. It obviously sucks to see her lose, and she was my highlighted fighter of the week. So it is unfortunate to see it go down like that, but she'll be back. I mean, the death threat, I mean, that's just fucking crazy. But I mean, she's still very good. I think it's more of a case of Jasmine Jasavicius just being better than people expected or knew. So yeah, man, I think that I think she'll be back. She'll be fine. Also on the card, Almahan Zahabi knocking out Ari Quayling in the first round. That was a devastating knockout, dude. What do you think about that one?
Sick, man. Sick finish. Even though I kind of had faith in him. He wasn't the betting favorite, but I was like, I feel like he's about to surprise a lot of people. And he did. He got a sick finish at the start of the round, and I mean, that was a statement win. What else would you say outside of that? Sick highlight finish. And we hope to see him again, man, because he should have a pretty decent turnaround, depending when he wants to fight again. But Josh, I need to give my highlight fighter of the week. Banger, came in on short notice, being direct fighter, and is now ranked in for his first UFC fight. Steve Erceg of Australia, I believe. 9-1 coming to UFC, takes the fight on 2 weeks' notice. Bam, gives us I would like to say maybe potential fight of the year contender. Definitely fight of the night performance. What a way to do it, man. I was brought to my attention by him. I watched a lot of gambling channels, Josh, and someone was like, they're like, watch out for Steve Erceg. I got a feeling. I went back and watched a few fights. He's coming in on short notice, but don't be surprised if he pulls up the upset. And look, I was fucking still surprised, man, because he came in on short notice and did what he did on that night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking, he came in here on very short notice, and I mean, when's the last time we had somebody come in here on like short notice and beat a ranked guy, like, and become?
It had to be a while, dude.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But yeah, I mean, Steve Erceg's Astro Boy. You couldn't have picked a better guy. So, full props there. I mean,
by the way, if you can find that out, please inform. I am actually really curious about that.
I would have to honestly do a bit of googling, but yeah.
I'm just saying, if you, for some reason you find out, please tell me.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, as far as the rest of the card, UFC 289 goes, any closing thoughts?
No. Josh. One thing I did want to ask you before we do move on, like, how overall do you rank the card? I know that's kind of what you just asked me, but I like to give you kind of like a very plain answer. I thought it was just all right. If we're talking strictly pay-per-view and main card, I'd say overall, I don't know, I give it like a 6 maybe for the pay-per-view. But a lot of that is weighed on like Charles Oliveira being on the fucking main card and Mike Malott getting a finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think that the card itself is fine. I think that we shit on a lot going into fight week, and I think understandably so. This is a pay-per-view. This card is, what's the pay-per-view at now? I mean, I don't actually buy them, but they're like $75, right?
Dude, they're like $80 after tax, I'm pretty sure.
So $80 after tax. Yeah, I mean, $80 for this card is still fucking ridiculous, but I think that it was still...
I hope no one paid $80 for this.
Yeah, by the way, guys, if you did, stop buying UFC product.
Dude, by the way, if you did buy this, you're either the biggest Amanda Nunes diehard fan, or just the biggest diehard in the world. I gotta give you credit, because I would have not put... Dude, you know how we usually split this, like, whenever we watch cards, we split it like 2 or 3 ways, like max ever? Dude, I would split this shit like 5 ways to consider buying it.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what we did with the boys for like a year or 2 there. And now they keep on putting them up, and the cards keep on getting worse, so it's like, why would you even buy this if you're just one guy,
Yeah, no, you definitely want to buy it with people, because do not buy this alone. Don't even buy it with 2 people. Find more people, and fucking go to your local movie theater and fucking watch this shit. Like, do not fucking spend the full price.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, this one was totally not worth your money. If it was, then I mean, I'll be honest, like, was it $291? $292? The Dustin Gaethje one? Definitely worth your money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are cards that are worth the money. It's just the vast majority of them aren't. Like I said, this card was fine. It was better than I expected, but, I mean, we're still talking about the bar being the floor, so... I think that's honestly why they held a lot of cards at the Apex, so that way whenever they leave the Apex, everything else looks so much better by comparison. But, speaking of the Apex, Angel, we're back. It's just...
Oh, man, are we really? And where are we the week after? Dude. Where are we the week after that? The Apex?
No, Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, wow.
So, pretty sick. So, we only got 1 Apex card. So, I'm pretty sure they're going to go back after that, but regardless.
Yep, they are.
Yeah, man. So UFC Vegas 75 going down this Saturday night for the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Middleweights, ranked middleweights, headlining the card. Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier. Obviously, Marvin Vettori, the Italian stallion, coming off a win over Roman Didalize in March, taking on Jared the Killer Gorilla.
Jared the Carrot Cannonier was the name.
God damn it! I was gonna say Jared the Killer Gorilla. I combined Cannonier with Killa.
Jared Carrot Cannonier.
Anyway, shut the fuck up, dude.
No, you shut the fuck up, Josh.
Anyways, man, so
you want me to fire you live on air, Josh? Do you want me to fire you?
I don't. Do you realize that's not how that? You don't have the clearance to fire me. That's not. I'm the one in charge here. It's just. Did you think you were in charge the whole time? No, but anyway.
I can access the vending machine at all times freely. I really have power here.
Yeah, right. But we got Jared Cannonier back. He's coming off a win with Sean Strickland in December. Both these guys trying to get a title shot. I don't think either one of them are anywhere close to it, but we'll see how things go. This fight's, I mean, to preview this fight, I don't even know, man. I mean, I got no idea who's going to win this one. It's even on the betting line. What do you think, man?
Fuck, dude. I'm going to go Marvin Vettori. I think he'll be able to give shots accurately, move laterally very well, have plenty of cardio across 5 rounds. I think he'll be able to prevent any takedowns. And if he does go to the ground, I think Marvin actually has a slicker ground game that we see like most fighters, they have it, but you don't get to see it because that's not most of the times where they want to go. So I'm going to go Marvin Vettori in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm going to do too. I think that Jared Cannonier is getting up there at age 39. Obviously, he's going to be 40 next year, 40 next March, I guess I should say. He has won 3 of 4. He's still very, very good, but you can tell that he's clearly slowing down. I thought it was very evident even in his fights against Derek Brunson and Israel Adesanya. He did beat Sean Strickland by decision back in December, but that fight was not very impressive. I'm going to go Vettori.
You know something what I'm looking at too now? Kind of we're looking at Cannonier's like resume.
Yeah.
And it's not to speak back of it because he has, like you look at the people. So you got a split decision over Sean, controversial at the time. He lost to Izzy. All right, so be it. But a win over Derek Brunson, who granted I know Derek was on the little win streak, but he's also on the older end. Kelvin, who looked terrible for a long time, and now is making a weight change and got a win. Robert Whitaker. By the way, that's 3 years worth of stuff, Josh. This is a Robert Whitaker loss. This is his second loss. Before that, a Jack Hermanson win and an Anderson Silva win and a David Branch win. Before that, it's Dom Reyes. Not to speak bad about his 185 run because it's had its moments. But when you look at his wins, I mean, I'd say the most noticeable one are probably Derek and Sean and Jack. But he's fallen short to both of the other top guys in the division. And even then, like, I don't know where you put those Jack and Derek, Sean wins. You know, I'd still I'd say for 185, yeah, like those are some of the best, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't impress me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's part of the reason why I'm taking I'm taking Marvin Vettori in the main event against Jared Cannonier. I think he's the younger guy by a decade, and I also think that
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's
holy shit. I forget Marvin's so young, dude. He's about to turn 30 this year.
Yeah, I mean, and he's been around fighting UFC for not a decade now, but I want to say like 8 years at this point.
I'm looking at it right now. 2016. Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. I just think he's a younger guy. I also think at the top level, I've been more impressed with his wins. Specifically like the Paulo Costa win, the Roman Diaz win, because Roman looked like he was coming on, man, earlier this year, and then Marvin just shut him down, man.
By the way, those 3 guys really hold their place at 185 very well, I'd say. Like, their value, like, I know very clearly always what I'm going to get with these 3 guys. Israel Adesanya, Robert Whitaker, Marvin Vettori, Josh. I'm very confident about those guys at all times. I'd say, like, when you go past that, everybody else, I kind of questions, some uncertainty. But I think those 3 guys are definitely, like, very, you know what they're going to do, you know what they're capable of, and they've proven themselves. And you've seen everything they have to offer at this point. Especially, I mean, 2 of the guys are champs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously for them, that is more clear than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think that Vettori is very consistent. Like you said, I think if there's one issue you can have with him, it's not going to be that. You know what I mean? Like, I have my qualms with Vettori. He's kind of good at everything, but doesn't overly excel at anything. I think it's probably the way to put it. And at 185, that's not bad. That's not a bad place to be, which is why he's been able to fight for the title, and he's been competitive with the top 5 for so long. So I think we got a win here. The co-main event is, look, I don't want to be mean, kind of a formality, right? I mean,
it's very sad, man. They should have just held off. They really should have. Unless Arman just wanted to find like, fuck it, give me whoever, you know?
I think he probably just wanted to fight. It's been over 6 months.
Yeah.
But I don't have any inside information on that one, though. So,
granted, though, who is he gonna fight right now, though? That's kind of the issue. They should have given him Fiziev, right? Or Chandler. At the time, Chandler made sense.
Yeah, I think a Chandler fight, because the official. So actually, Conor McGregor has 2 days, I believe, the time frame to enroll into USADA to fight by the end of the year. So I think if Conor doesn't do that, then a potential fight with Chandler will have to wait until 2023. 2024. And I don't think Chandler will want to do that. So I think an Arman versus Chandler fight makes sense. But we haven't even talked about who he's fighting. We haven't even said his opponent. So Arman Tsarukyan is going to be fighting Joaquin Silva over this weekend. You know, he's been in the UFC long-time veteran. I mean, since 2015, came off tough Brazil 4. I mean, he's got some good wins. I mean, he knocked out Jesse Ronson, beat Jared Gordon, but anytime he stepped up to not even the top level, but the echelon below the top level, like, whenever he stepped up to guys like that are unranked but might be ranked in the future, like Ricky Glenn, he's lost. So, you know, Arman Tsarukyan, according to the live betting line that I just looked at from MGM, he's a minus 1,000. Yeah, he's gonna win on Saturday.
This is probably one of the most secure like picks of the whole year, unless somehow we just cuck ourselves. But I'm pretty confident on this one, Josh.
Yeah, I feel very confident in this one.
Bet the house on the Armenian.
Bet the house on Armin. So yeah, man. I mean, same page, man. Anyways, rest of the card. What do you which fight you most want to talk about? There's a couple of good names on littered throughout this one.
We'll kind of go one down from where we're at right now, dude. A banger that I never thought about. Christian Leroy Duncan, Armin Petrosyan. Sounds like such a fun fight. CLD had a rough opening in this, I guess, a rough campaign in this first fight. I believe it got stopped. It was an injury on his opponent's behalf. It was Dusko Tudovic, which, I mean, that fight looked like it was to be great as well. Sadly, UFC debut is bitter, doesn't go the way you want. You get the win, but at the cost of your opponent's injury, so 3 months later, we're back here, on U.S. soil, not in England anymore, so I'm curious to see what he's able to do against Armin Petrosyan, who 7-2. This guy has a good skill set, man. Things he can do on the feet are very strong. There's a reason why his last 3 opponents have tried to take him to the ground in their fights.
Yeah. And obviously that's probably the fight to watch if we're being, obviously the main event's a solid fight. Obviously I'm excited for the return of Arman Tsarukyan, who, he's always my fighter to watch. I mean, I've been high on that kid forever. But yeah, I mean, the best overall fight on the card is probably the return of CLD versus Arman Petrosyan. That's going to be an absolute banger. I'm very excited to see how that one goes. But honestly, dude, you know who I'm also very excited to see return? And it's kind of, I'm very surprised that they're opening up the card, like not even just the main card or like they're opening up the card. I'm surprised that Zach Palga versus Mateusz Bukauskas is opening up the early prelims. Because I don't think those guys are going to be champion, but Mateusz Bukauskas has like a low-key, really good story going right now. I mean, obviously, was in the UFC a long time ago, and by a long time ago, just like 2 years ago. Got cut after like 3 losses in a row, got 2 wins in a row in Cage Wars, debuted, re-debuted back in February with a win over Tyson Pedro. I'm excited to see what he's going to go ahead and do. Yeah, man, I mean, any closing thoughts on a couple of these fights? I mean, I highlighted guys I want to go ahead and talk about, but anybody else before we go ahead and move on?
Oh, man, always got to shout out Pat Sabatini, a.k.a. Ryan Wheeler, because he looks like Ryan Wheeler from Kingdom. Amanda Torres is kind of a guy that I've been hearing a lot from a lot of Mexican fighters. Loco Torres is always getting talked about on podcasts and mentioned, always in good regards. Banger fight that I never thought about, Josh. Muslim Salikov versus Nicholas Dalby, opening a main card. I don't know who else you would want to open up your card outside of these guys, who they have out of the guys they have on the card, outside of them too. Those are the guys, though, that I would have picked as well. Ronnie Barcelos, Maz John, another banger. I mean, I think there's a lot on this card, man. If you're a diehard, maybe if you're a casual, I don't think you'll know a lot of these names, but personally for myself, Josh, there's a lot of people are looking forward to as well. Outside of the ones I just named, like Dan Argueta, Zama Gulov, Carlos Sena. I mean, there's just too many, Josh. I think this is actually, for my liking, for someone who watches every week, this is a pretty stacked card for myself personally.
I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely compared to a lot of other like Apex cards that we've gotten over the last couple of months and the last year, I'd say this is basically fucking UFC 200. having Marvin Vettori, Jared Kennedy, Arman Tsarukyan, Armin Petrosyan versus the notorious CLD. I mean, Manuel Torres, Nicholas Mata, Nicholas Dalby versus Muslim Salikov, Zach Palga. I mean, there's a couple of good. Jimmy Flick, the OG, down at Flyweight. I'm excited to see this card on Saturday.
There's so much. There's too much.
Yeah, and then we'll have like an actual really banger card next week too, with the return of Joshua Manuel Topuria. But we'll talk about that when it comes. Anyways, man. We do have another fight card to talk about because it's like the best, look, man, we've talked about the rumors of Bellator being sold. But here's the thing. If Bellator is going out fucking swinging, apparently. Because they have Bellator versus Ryzen 2, which is happening next month on the day of Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, as well as UFC 291. That's their co-promoted card with Ryzen, obviously. But this weekend, Bellator 297 is their greatest card in a long time, going down Friday night from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois, in the main event, Vadim Nemkov from Fedor team, obviously the last Emperor's main protege, who has riding an 11-fight unbeaten streak, and also has the record for most title defenses in Bellator light heavyweight history, taking on the Soldier of God, Angel, 46 years young, Yoel Romero, coming off of 2 knockout wins in a row inside the Bellator cage. This is probably the best fight of the weekend, in my opinion. If not, it's the co-main event. What do you think, man? I'm very excited for this main event going down on Friday night.
Fuck, man, you're not even wrong. This might be, you're not even wrong, the more exciting 2 fights of the weekend. To get into the main event, man, I'm a Nemkov fan, man. I'm a stan. I'll admit it on the show. I will say, though, there is one guy that you could bring into the picture to make an upset. You know, a guy who you just never know what they're going to do. That's fucking Yoel Romero, man. I think if someone is to stop the Nemkov train, man, don't be surprised if it's Yoel Romero. Now, I'm not picking Yoel Romero, Josh, because I think Nemkov obviously has the racing capabilities. He has stand-up. He has cardio. I just don't see where Yoel Romero is going to be able to do this in 5 rounds. And if he does, I think we'll have to do it early.
Yeah, I think I'm very interested to see actually what Yoel Romero's strategy is, because I could see him winning this fight for sure. But it just depends on what his strategy is. If he goes out there guns blazing, I could see him get him out of there. I could also see him winning the fight if he chooses to go like the Robert Whittaker 2 style, where he kind of paces himself. But also, that was a 5-round fight that took place 5 years ago.
At 185.
Huh?
At 185.
At 185, exactly. I mean, and a lot could change in 5 years, man. Honestly, the difference between, fucking like 21 versus 26 and 41 versus 46.
By the way, how old is Yoel Romero, Josh?
He is 46 years old.
Yes. Holy fuck.
Allegedly.
46. Who was the oldest UFC champ? It was, what's his name?
The oldest UFC champ? Randy Couture? No, wait. Yeah, Randy, right?
Yeah, it was Randy. It had to have been. How old was he?
He was 45 or 46.
Holy fuck, man. There's still hope for Yoel Romero. God,
yeah.
Man.
Anyways, man. Yeah. I think that main event is going to be very, very competitive. I'm very interested to see how it plays out. It's like I said, it's the fight I'm most excited for this weekend, because I don't have a problem with the UFC card, but like that Bellator main, man, it's just so fucking exciting. I do think Vadim Nemkov is going to get the win. I'm on the same page as you. I'm a fan of that guy, gotta be honest, man. I've been very impressed with him for a very long time. I think he's the best fighter outside the UFC, period. God damn it. So yeah, man, I'm gonna go and take him to get the win. But Yoel Romero, I'm interested to see how he navigates this fight. Like, one of the reasons why I said Vadim Nemkov might be the greatest guy outside the UFC right now is because that Corey Anderson rematch, I think just about most people thought, this is a rough matchup for him. Like, it's gonna be a tough fight. But he knew the changes, he had a great game plan, and he knew what to do. I think that a similar thing will play out here. But dude, the co-main event, it is a damn shame that more people are not talking about the fact that Patricio Pitbull is gonna potentially make history on Friday. Obviously, currently the Bellator featherweight champion, the former Bellator lightweight champion. He will face Sergio Pettis on Friday night to become a Bellator bantamweight champion and make MMA history as the first ever fighter across any promotion to win a title in 3 different weight classes. We're looking down the barrel of MMA history on Friday Night, Angel. Do you think the great Brazilian will get it done?
Now, I should clarify, Josh. We should say major promotion, because it has been done on the regional scene. I mentioned this in the past. Juan Archuleta did it in I forget the promotion. Regardless,
Well, I meant relevant, like.
No, you're not wrong. I know you're getting at, but I just wanted to clarify as far as it's been done, just not in the major promotions like Bellator 1 and the UFC. We've only had double champs. Well, that means just the way you made it sound. It's like it's never ever been done.
No, I just meant in terms of in relevant.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're getting at. Regardless, though, I wanted to give some credit where credit was due to Juan Archuleta. But to get into my pick, man, and once again, just like I said, if there's one guy to make an upset, if there's a guy who would become triple weight champion, man, Patricio Pitbull is that fucking guy. Mm-hmm. You know, that guy was a 145er, came up, fought the bigger 155er in Michael Chandler, the collegiate wrestler, and put him the fuck out. And look at the career Michael Chandler's had since then, man. And look at what Pitbull's done since then. Mm-hmm. And right now, I think his matchup at 135 and Sergio Pettis is a good matchup for him, and he can get it done. If he can have a good weight cut, look healthy, come in, rehydrate, I think he put a solid performance against Sergio Pettis this Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gone back and forth about this fight a lot, man. I think there's a lot of unknowns, but I think it ultimately comes down to if Patricio Pitbull can be fine and make the weight safely, which he said he can for years. I mean, I remember there being talk about him fighting at bantamweight before he went up to lightweight to fight Chandler. So this has been a long discussion. So I think he'll be able to do it. I trust that he can do it safely. And I think if Patricio Pitbull can make the weight, I don't think you're going to stop him from getting that third title. I think Patricio Pitbull and New on Friday night and make history. I think this guy is the Bellator GOAT. I think he's one of the greatest fighters to never fight outside the UFC. All-time list, you could probably put him in the top 5 or top 3 even. And he's making like a legacy without ever fighting in the UFC, which is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, only a few guys have done that.
Yeah, only a few guys. Because obviously these guys have made legacies, but like even like for example, somebody like DJ right now is so beloved outside the UFC and in one championship, but he was already, like he was already had a UFC run, and there's a lot of guys who have had that be the case, where maybe they're really good, but they only become good later on after the UFC stint. Patricio Pitbull was never there. He's never going to be there, and yet we're still talking about him like this guy is an all-time great. Like that's just how fucking good he is. So I think he's going to go ahead and get the win on Friday night, and I'm very, very excited to see him potentially make history. Rest of the card, though, dude. I mean, we got a couple of other banger fights. I mean, Corey Anderson, Phil Davis, Daniel James is back. I mean, obviously the prelims, there's a couple of high-profile names as well. Which fights are you most looking forward to?
I always got to give a shout out to Carl Moore, man. He's a guy who's been on this little run, been able to string some wins together. Surprised me along the way, man. Getting a win over Carl Rexon, and he got another win again, taking on Alex Pelosi. I think that is a definitely must-watch fight of the night. And Talib, in between the two other remaining cards on the main card, I gotta give a shout out to Corey Anderson, Phil Davis. A fight that maybe could have happened in the UFC at one point. I mean, I don't think they ever got close to it, but it's a fight that, because both guys happened in the UFC, it could have happened, and now we're still gonna get it, but in Bellator. So that's a pretty cool thing to see. I will point out, Josh, I was looking at it just now, Phil Davis's only loss in recent time are 2 to Brian Bader, 1 in the UFC, 1 in Bellator. Vadim Nemkov twice, won a split decision. Before that, you have to date back to 2014, almost a decade ago, 9 years ago, to Anthony Rumble Johnson. And before that even as well, 2 years back, Rashad Evans. This man only loses to the elite, Josh. So I think if Corey Anderson's able to get one over here on Phil Davis, that's a pretty significant W. But if Phil Davis is able to get a win over Corey Anderson, another one in the books, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you brought up Phil Davis, dude. I think Phil Davis is like, I'm gonna make a statement here, and I think it's gonna be like probably the hottest take I'll say on this show. I don't think it's that hot of a
TikTok inbound.
I actually don't think it's that hot of a take when you're like,
drop it on me, Josh. Drop it on me.
When you think about it in context, Phil Davis is like the most underrated MMA fighter ever.
Yes, I 100% agree with this.
Just straight up, like no, you're not even gonna argue with me?
No, I agree, man. Josh, there's a reason we get along so well, dude. You got to think about this as well. I don't think it's that hot of a take. He had a very successful UFC run, man. I mean, you got to think about the guys he did run into. I mean, shit, that's the elite of the elite. 2-5 has had a lot of killers through its time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and also running down Davis's resume, I mean, it's unreal. And you don't really think about it, but Phil Davis's resume is unreal whenever you look at it. Like, let's just run it down. Brian Stan, Alexander Gustafsson, Tim Bosch, Little Nog, Lyoto Machida, Glover Teixeira, King Mo,
That's
Liam
former
McGeary.
UFC champ Glover Teixeira.
Yeah, there we go. We got King Mo, Liam McGeary, Linton Vassell, Yoel Romero. I mean, the guy's resume is fucking unreal. Former Bellator light heavyweight champion. Great collegiate wrestler as well. Former NCAA champion, I believe. I mean, Phil Davis is the real deal. I mean, I think he's the most underrated fighter in MMA history. Just because if you're looking at his resume, very few can compete with him. And I mean, even guys like Jake Shields have become like a punchline. You know what I mean? Like, people still remember them, even if people don't like them. I don't hear anybody talk about Phil Davis. You know what I mean?
No, you make a good point.
Anyways, man, I'm excited to see him return. I've always been a big Phil Davis fan. Ever since he showed up in Bellator, and on his first night, he knocked out like 3 guys in a one-night tournament, man.
That's sick.
Which was, by the way, like the last time he got like a finish, by the way.
Oh, God.
No, I mean, that may be correct. I don't know if that may be correct or incorrect, but he hasn't gotten many since then.
Wait, so I'm seeing here, he fought 2 guys. He fought Amanda Nunes and Francis Carmont.
He knocked them out both, remember correctly.
Yes, in the first round. Well, no, Kimura and Amanda Nunes, heartbreak.
No, he's gotten 2 TKO wins since then, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, shout out Phil Davis. Excited to see him against Corey Anderson. Excited to see Daniel James back with like low-key the greatest story in MMA right now.
The GOAT.
The GOAT bodyguard for rapper Twista.
Shout out.
Shout out Chicago's own Daniel James, man. Rest of the card, I mean, not the greatest fights on the prelims, but you got a couple of good names. Obviously, Kyle Crutchmer's back. He's going to look to try and avenge his last loss. He's taking on Bobby Nash, who's been around in the game for a long time, former UFC veteran. Emmanuel Sanchez is back against Archie Colgan. Emmanuel Sanchez, this is a must-win. I mean, a Bellator veteran, been around the company for a decade, is riding a 4-fight losing streak. We'll see what he can go ahead and do. Cody Law is also back. 2 losses in a row. We'll see if he can put something together there. I mean, any names you want to go and shout out on the Bellator 297 prelims?
Nothing outside of that, man. I think we highlighted the main guys, kind of the guys that I'm really looking forward to. I noticed they have a lot of Russian fighters thrown in here, Josh. Did you notice that?
I did notice that, yeah.
I'm assuming they probably all from the same camp, right? I'm looking. No, I can't see these 2 other guys, but I'm sure there's some sort of connection somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think it's about time we should go ahead and move on. Angel, The Ultimate Fighter, episodes 2 and 3, we can go ahead and go over. Admittedly, I don't think there's a whole lot to really say in them. Just because, I mean, if you've seen Tough, you know what the deal is, First episode, obviously Nate Jennerman got upset, lost by first round knockout. Cody Gibson then knocked out Mando Gutierrez by first round, knocked him out in the first round. And then Aaron McKenzie coming up short against Austin Hubbard by unanimous decision. As of week 3, Michael Chandler's team has won every single fight. Conor McGregor is stuck in, he looks like he's going to have a fucking mental breakdown if somebody does not get a win soon. As of episode 3, give me your thoughts on a couple of the recent episodes, anything you would talk about coming out of them.
I mean, I did tell you in private, I don't think Conor's going to have another guy win for a while. I think it'll be probably I imagine only one of his guys will win. So it will be almost all Michael Chandler team sweep. Granted, though, you never know. There could be a potential upset in there. We still haven't seen Conor's guys fight either, which are, what are they? Lee Hammond and Brad Katona, right? The 2 guys the 2 Conor guys they brought in. So we'll definitely we'll have to see how that turns out. One thing I do need to say, Josh, is, man, as now that we're 3 episodes deep, I've gotten to appreciate the vets for being vets, finally. I I see, like, they showed a lot of them talk about why they fight or have fighting purpose to fight again and not just fighting to fight and motivation. And in their fights themselves, I've been able to know, I realize that these guys are locked in, man. I can see the difference between them and the young guys. I see this sense of confidence, this sense of knowing what to do as the fight progresses and being able to deal with difficult situations and capitalize on certain stuff. Yeah. And it's kind of weird because even though, we always talk about tough man, we're like, oh yeah, the winners get signed and they get their whatever amount contract. But I could see a lot of these guys who are vets coming back, Josh, like, especially after that last Austin Harbor performance, I'm like, how could you not want this guy back? You know what I mean? And same with Cody Gibson and Roosevelt Roberts. Like, I want all these guys back now. I miss them now. That's kind of what this season made me realize. Like, these guys, I hope they find their place back in the UFC rather than just I hope they win. Because I feel like there's too many guys to like on the season for once. You know what I mean? Usually you get attached to one or two guys, but for me, I've grown to enjoy a bit of all the guys, of all the vets. Mm-hmm. I found myself finding more connection with the vets than the newcomers.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the vets have been, I think the vets have actually been hardcore carrying this show, which is kind of what I expected, honestly, because a lot of these guys that we know already. I don't know, man. This show's been weird. Am I the one that gets kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if you'll agree with this. The show feels weird this season. Just weird. It feels like the vibes are off. Is that just me?
I mean,
like, I can't explain it. If there's something feels off. I don't know if it's the fact that we know that this fight's not going to happen with Conor and Chandler, or the fact that Conor's team just keeps on getting run over. But like, it just feels a little bit off. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like a normal. Things don't flow the way that they should. I feel like. I don't know if it's just editing or whatever, but I feel like the show's not flowed well together. But I don't know, man. I mean, I think that it's been overall relatively fine. I think that the vets have been carrying the show hardcore. In terms of wins, they're definitely doing that, right?
Like I said, I do think at least one Conor guy will show up.
They have to, right? I thought that guy was going to be Aaron McKenzie. I've followed Aaron McKenzie, like, low-key for a long time. Like,
I had really high hopes for him going into that fact, because in the fight, dude, he seemed very locked in. He was tough. I definitely, I hope that's not the end of him, as far as, like, even potentially coming to UC, but, like, I hope if he doesn't make it to UC, Bellator, PFL, like, he seems like a very fun, interesting guy. Like, I definitely, out of all the newcomers, he's definitely one who grabbed my eye. I was like, damn, this guy's a dog. By the way, when you see him with a shirt on, not when he has his tattoos out, doesn't seem like the kind of guy would be a fighter, right? Like, I wouldn't think fighter first.
No, not at all. He does not look like a fighter. But, this is actually pretty cool. I don't think you know this. So, I've known of Aaron McKenzie for, like, 8 or 9 years now. And the reason is because he's been, like, posting on, like, Reddit r/MMA about his MMA journey for, like, a decade now. He's like, won my first pro fight, won this fight, won this regional belt. I got signed to Bellator for a 2-fight deal. Like, and seeing his whole journey to finally make it onto Tough, it fucking broke me when he lost, dude. I was so sad. But he's got that dog in him, dude. He's gonna be back. I mean, you're talking about a kid, he's 34 years old. He's been grinding for a decade to get to this point. And also, he's an Oklahoma boy, so I gotta support him. He's from OKC. I gotta shout out my boy, So, he'll be back. I hope they give him another shot, man. But I've been following that kid's journey for a long time, so, I hope that he can get another shot or something, dude. But, yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you. I don't think Conor's gonna get too many wins in this whole thing, dude. But, that's kind of my closing thoughts. Any closing thoughts before we go ahead and move on?
Nothing outside of that. Just kind of just what I laid out there before.
Yeah, fair enough, man. The next topic, Teofimo Lopez, who we've talked about on this show a couple of times. Obviously, his incredible upset winner Vasily Lomachenko in October 2020. During the peak of COVID, was an incredible thing to watch. I know that we both talked about our memories of that night. Obviously he had up with an upset loss to George Kambosos, and then, he had the win over Pedro Campa, who moved up to 140, and then, he had a close win over Sandor Martin, and he was going into his fight with Josh Taylor this weekend. We were seeing, videos come out of him arguing with his dad mid-interview, stuff looks real bad for Teofimo Lopez, but then on fight night, he shows up and just easily outboxes Josh Taylor into a unanimous decision win to win 2 belts up at light welterweight, and then after the fight, he retires. So, all for an odd angel. What do you think, man? Do you actually believe that Teofimo Lopez will continue to box, or what do you make of all this entire weekend and all the news that's come out about it?
I mean, absolutely, he's coming back. I just think he has a lot going on in his personal life, and right now he kind of hit a peak, and he's like, look, I can't keep going at the rate I'm going at, and ride this high when I got all this shit trying to bring me down at the same time. So I think he's just gonna take time, deal with this divorce he's dealing with his now ex-wife, and maybe sort things out with his dad, or find a good place with his father, or whatever. But I think that's more or less what it is. And I think it's a very intelligent move, a very adult thing to do, and this is definitely the right direction to go. So yeah, definitely Teofimo's not done. There's just too much left in boxing. I think he's too talented to go, and I think he also knows that. But Josh, when I saw this whole thing with his dad, and not to I'm gonna put you on the spot here. I don't know if you're gonna want to keep this on the record, but not surprising because you actually met someone who knew Teofimo personally and spoke about his relationship with his father to you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, just because I don't.
Not to say who it was. We're not gonna say what family.
I'm gonna be very vague with this because it's not even somebody that I'm I'm friends with them, but I'm not that close to them. But
I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to bring it up.
No, we can actually talk about that off there. But anyways, the Teofimo stuff with his dad, if I were him, I'd do the same thing. I'd retire, take off a year, and find a new team. I'd get away from that whole situation. The situation with Teofimo and his dad is pretty toxic. I think just about everybody can see that if you have eyes. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about it either. It's embarrassing. It's literally embarrassing. You have this kid who's 25 years old and the top of the world, and he has so much going against him. And obviously, we talk about the stuff with his dad, obviously, but then he got COVID really badly. I think in 2021, he nearly died. He could have died during the fight with Kambosos. I don't know how many people remember this. He had air in his chest, which if you get hit, because I guess he tore his esophagus, and he had air in his chest, which can literally fucking kill you if you get hit in the wrong place. He got divorced. For 25 years old, Teofimo Lopez has been through some shit. So if I were him, I'd do the same thing. Take off a year, retire, quote unquote. Take off your time. Go, and you know what? Honestly, it'd probably make the demand better too for him to return. I want to, after that win on Saturday, I was like, fuck yeah, dude, Teo is back. He apparently has to be an underdog to go ahead and just do some of this shit, because
right.
The 2 best wins of his career whenever the back was against the wall. So, yeah, I mean, I want to see him back hopefully in a year or however long it takes him, because he needs to take some time off, just for his mental state. I could see things were not good going into the fight on Saturday. Luckily, it ended up all right, but it did not look like it was going to be that way. But anyways, man, in terms of speaking of boxing, I think we should just move one over. I forgot this event was happening on Sunday night. And I just start looking at my phone late Sunday night, and I see that Floyd Mayweather and John Gotti had a whole ass riot, dude.
What the fuck happened? I didn't even know Floyd was fighting, dude.
Yeah, so this was another exhibition, which makes sense why nobody cared.
Right.
But so essentially, here's a little known secret. If you don't follow these Floyd exhibitions closely, which why would you? I mean, let's be honest.
Come on, Josh. Everything's on the line on these.
Yeah, right? But if you listen to, Floyd's previous opponents, talk about, Deji talked about this. Obviously Logan still hasn't gotten paid. But, Floyd, he's doing these exhibitions and they're for fun, but he also, trolls his opponent hardcore. He'll talk shit to him. Like, even the John Gotti fight, there was like a 10 to 15 minute delay for the fight to start where Floyd and John Gotti were just sitting in the ring looking at each other because Floyd's entourage would not leave the side of the ring. So basically, it was just a whole thing where they're fucking with each other. So basically, Floyd came out boxing, came out talking trash like normal in these exhibitions. You know, if there's a guy that you don't want to do that to, it's fucking John Gotti's grandson in the Gotti family, because naturally he did not take that too well. So near the end of the 5th round, the referee went ahead and warned him. He said, if you guys keep on talking, because by this point, John Gotti is furious. He's got steam coming out of his ears, you know. He's very upset. And the referee warns him and Floyd. He's like, if you guys keep on clinching, if you keep on talking shit, I'm just going to call off the fight. 6th round starts, they clinch for like 40 seconds to start the fight, and they start talking shit. And the referee calls it off, and John Gotti just like, you know what? Fuck that. And he charges at Floyd, eats a left hand for his troubles. He gets pushed back across the ring. Suddenly, Floyd's entourage is in the ring. There's more people in the ring at one point than I'm pretty sure were in the arena for his last few exhibitions. And then luckily things did not end up being that bad, you know? They got separated, but there were fights outside the ring between random people. Like, it was a complete shit show. Like, John Gotti's, like, sister put out some really racist shit about Floyd Mayweather's daughter or something.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
And I would like to point out, again, this is not even a real fight. It's all for an exhibition. So, I mean...
I'm sure they had the money belt on the line.
No. Here's the funniest part. I just said that they had John Gotti's sister put out like a tweet that was like really racist or something about Floyd and his family. Do you know what was on the line in the main event?
Dude, some bullshit probably.
It was a ceremonial Juneteenth belt.
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, look, like I said,
oh my god, dude.
Did you look it up?
No, but I just can't get over that idea.
They had a Juneteenth belt on the line in the main event, a ceremonial one.
God.
Yeah. Anyways, man, I mean, I don't even know what to say about this. If Floyd wants to keep on doing exhibitions, I prefer if they were like this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have any closing thoughts on this one. Just a complete shit show from start to finish, which is basically what you could say that for basically the last 5 or 6 years of Floyd Mayweather's life. I mean,
relatable, man.
We're trying to jump YouTubers to fighting Logan Paul to, you know, the exhibitions to this. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude, what are you doing? You're like 46, man. But anyways,
dang, when is he gonna fight Jake Paul?
I don't know. Probably never. But anyways,
he doesn't want that smoke.
He doesn't want that smoke from the problem child. Anyways, last bit of news. It's some positive news, Angel. It's actually positive news because we've had we have negative stuff on the show. We actually have a fair bit of negative stuff. That's how combat sport is. But Angel, hashtag save Bigfoot. It finally worked. You've been leading the charge on this on social media, on the show for Bigfoot Silva to retire because he has lost in bare knuckle, he's lost in boxing, he's lost in kickboxing. In fact, he has not won a fight period since August of 2015. He's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 MMA fights. If you're counting his fights outside of that, he's lost 12 in a row. But Antonio Bigfoot Silva retires in France after another decision loss. Angel, give me your instant reaction.
Jesus, someone took him to a decision. Thank God it's over, man.
Thank God, right?
Who was his last win, by the way, in 2015?
Soa Pillay.
Oh, fuck, dude. Okay.
Yeah, so I barely remember him, so.
If that tells you anything.
Yeah, there you go, right? But, yeah, man, I mean, but he was not the only one to retire. Obviously, Save Bigfoot worked, but also, hashtag Save Marlon Moraes. Marlon has lost 7 fights in a row, and he has now decided to go ahead and call it quit once again, after a knockout loss to Gabriel Braga. last week at PFL 4. He retired. The end of two Brazilians who have stayed around for far too long. Angel, well, give me your thoughts on Marlon as well.
I mean, it could have been done a while ago, man. It should have been done a while ago, if anything. Yeah. But I get not wanting to give up on what you like most.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I mean, I think it's about time for both these guys. But that's about all I got. Any closing stuff you want to talk about before we go ahead and close out of here?
Nothing else specifically, man. I mean, I was excited back to talk about the ABC card, which, I mean, that shit's going down like at noon our time, so there's always that, man. So it'll be a fun Saturday card, earlier card, especially with such a good main event on the line, too. And I can't wait to come back and recap this week's card. And Bellator as well. Fuck, I almost forgot. So it'll be a jam-packed week next week as well. So get ready for another long pod, my guy.
For sure, for sure. And I hope you guys enjoy these long pods because I am at Josh Evanoff on Twitter. He's at Angel Ortega _01 at Courtside Sound for all things related to the show. Shout out to everybody who has found us through YouTube Shorts, TikTok, all of our social media stuff. We appreciate it so much and appreciate all the love and support. Peace and bug grease. Mouse click.